Alexander the Great, Donald Trump.
We're all cut from the same cloth, and that cloth is very, very large.
It's not too big, is it?
Hey.
Hey yourself. It's wrong, isn't it?
That would feel so right.
Then it's a deal. I put together some really impressive deals. That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
Oh, hello there. Are we doing a show today? Is anything happening in the world today that we might want to be broadcasting to the masses? Yes. Hello, I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is November 5th. That's right. It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, and it is election day in America. Everything we have all been doing and talking about and screaming about and fighting about and exposing and highlighting and all the other adjectives, it all comes down to this today. To whatever extent any of this is real and our votes matter and we have some say in the madness, like it is here right now. I will be voting immediately after the show today. My entire team has voted already. I hope you have voted already or you are going to today. Please, Lord, vote, 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 no matter what you think is going to happen, please. A little skin in the game, ladies and gentlemen. But this is it. We busted out the MAGA hat that I've had here for a while, and we got a big show today, to say the least. And it's not just a big show leading up to the election. Tonight, we are doing what will be our biggest show ever, and it is going to be the zaniest, craziest, wackiest, funniest, most psychotically loony election night special you have ever seen. We're going to start at about 6 p.m. Eastern, not at exactly 6 p.m. Eastern. We got about 30, 40 guests. We have tons of crazy surprises. Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Dennis Prager, Russell Brand, Sage Steele, Adam Carolla, Brett Weinstein, Tim Bilyeu, Dr. Drew Pinsky, Tulsi Gabbard, James Lindsay, Dr. Phil, Glenn Beck, Gad Sad, Megyn Kelly, and many more. I am telling you, we have literally the best lineup on the internet. It is going to be way better than MSNBC and CNN and all the other mental institutions and all that stuff. So hopefully you'll tune in around 6 or you tune in around 7, 8, 9. We're going to make some steaks. There's going to be tequila involved. I think there's going to be a midget or two. We got a lot going on, trust me, as far as it pertains to tonight. But for the show today, we were really trying to figure out how do we do this right at this point, right? We all know the stuff. We've all been through the stories. Every one of you watching this, you've picked your candidate already, right? And most people at this point picked their candidate a while ago, right? So when we cover these things, when I cover these things, or when we talk about, oh, this happened yesterday and Obama lied about very fine people and Trump did that, most of those things don't move people anymore. But what it does move is culture in a particular direction. And politics, as the great Andrew Breitbart said, is downstream from culture. And that's what I've been way more interested in, rather than, oh, do you have this many Senate votes and that many congressional seats and everything else. So I think, the way we decided to do the show today was that I think my journey has been very deeply connected to what now has happened in the country. This massive wake up of people leaving the left, this new alliance that I was calling for, and I was individually calling out specific people, and slowly they started making their way towards Trump, to just, a month and a half ago when I got to speak at the Rescue the Republic rally with RFK and Tulsi and all of the people in these MAGA hats who were not traditionally Republicans. That's something that now represents a true restoration of America. Like, we could wake up tomorrow and it could be that thing that we just showed you in that cold open when men were allowed to like women. It's okay. And it was kind of cool to have money and believe in capitalism and believe that this place was great. We could literally reset it today. Today might be the day. Now, it might not be. I think it's going to be. But, you know, I'm better about telling you about politics and culture than I am about making political predictions. Nobody wants to be in that game. It usually doesn't end up well, or it's about 50-50 if you're, you know, like halfway decent at it. But in any event, what I see happening now is the chance to reset America and the chance to reset the world. So I want to take you back. We're going to go a little bit backwards. I hope you can join me on this little adventure. We're going to go a little bit backwards into the last couple years of the Rubin Report. We're going to connect that to a lot of things and see how some of these players, these people who in essence shouldn't have had anything to do with each other in a traditional political sense, have now all come together. So the big thing that happened yesterday is that Elon Musk, day before the election, went on Joe Rogan, and he finally got Joe Rogan to do this. Well, take a look at the tweet. Joe Rogan wrote, "The great and powerful Elon Musk. If it wasn't for him, we'd be fucked. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Enjoy the podcast." They went for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And yes, Rogan finally did it. The thing that I have spent the last 2 years asking Rogan to do, or trying to compel him to do. It was good that he was talking about all the right things, interviewing all the right people, but get that last step there. It doesn't always matter about the man, right? That's what I always say about Bill Maher. Bill Maher's woken up a lot of people. He's making the wrong decision, but Rogan finally got there. And I think that's a really powerful cultural touchstone. So before we get into any of their interview, Donald Trump, who's been campaigning like a crazy person, he was still on stage at 2 a.m. last night in Pennsylvania, got to Florida at 5 a.m. this morning. He was live on stage in Pennsylvania when he heard that Joe Rogan had finally endorsed him. Take a look.
Oh, wow. I have some more big news, Megyn. I'm just getting this right now. So somebody that's very, very respected asked me to do his show 2 weeks ago, and I said, why not? And to me, it's very big because he's the biggest there is, I guess, in that world by far. Somebody said the biggest beyond anybody in a long time. And his name is Joe Rogan, and he's never done this before. And it just came over the wires that Joe Rogan just endorsed me. Is that good? Thank you, Joe.
There's so much greatness there. First off the line, he's the biggest beyond anybody, which is true. That's what someone told him. And it just came across the wires. It shows how Trump is still old school while also traversing the language of new school. The crowd obviously gets it. And again, it doesn't matter necessarily that Rogan himself will pull that lever and endorse him, but it's the broader cultural point that Joe Rogan is actually, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him about magic mushrooms or you like MMA or not, he in essence at this point is bigger than CNN. And that is the important thing. That is the important thing. So before we get to some of Joe and Elon's discussion, I want to throw back to this clip. This is a little known podcaster, another guy, not quite as big as Joe Rogan, but he's okay, Dave Rubin. This is back in June 6, 2024. And this was one of the times that I was really encouraging Joe Rogan to do just this. There's a bunch of things to unpack here. Now, he is right that when Bush was ending his 2 terms, that the whole country and the media and everybody was like, enough of this, right? The Iraq war at that point was looked at as basically an abject failure. That was sort of Bush's main thing post 9/11. And then Barack Obama came in, smiley, nice teeth, spoke well. Rogan's right about is that Obama largely failed on those things. Drone striking Americans. We started a war in Libya that we didn't declare a war. A whole bunch of other stuff. The Syria red line that they just ran over. But what I think he's missing there is that you might say that Republicans and Democrats are just equally horrible, but they're different, and thus they are not equal. If we had just largely across the country right now, a Republican Congress, a Republican Senate, more Republican governors, and a Republican president, say Trump as president, Would the border be better or worse? Of course it would be better. Would crime in our streets and in our cities be better or worse? Of course it would be better. The drug situation, better or worse? Well, that's connected to the border situation, so of course it would be better. DEI and all of the woke stuff, would it be better or worse? Of course it would be pushed out of the system, thus better. Now, it doesn't mean it would be perfect, but it certainly would be better. So if you're on the fence about all of these issues, or if you're, no, not on the fence, if you're looking at all of these issues and you roughly agree with what I just said, then you have to vote for Republicans. This isn't Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney anymore. Like, Trump really does represent something different, which is why, as Rogan correctly pointed out in the previous clip, that the system's going after him the way that he is. And I say this as someone that 6 months ago wanted a different guy to be the Republican nominee. But here we are. You largely like Donald Trump. You like that he shows up to UFC, so you've got to get there. All right, so I don't need to analyze myself. The reason I'm showing you that is not to pat myself on the back. The reason I'm showing you that is that every single one of you watching this, every single one of the people in this room, everyone gets on their journey one way or another to get to where they are politically, philosophically, and everything else. And Rogan, it took some time, but he was down to go on that adventure, and he got there. And he got there officially, I would say, yesterday, the day before the election, when he makes this endorsement. And again, it is important. It's an important, just cultural touchstone moment. I tweeted this yesterday, and then this will kick off everything else that we're doing here when I saw the headline. Good on Joe Rogan endorsing Trump thanks to Elon Musk. The American comeback begins tomorrow. And that is really what I believe, guys. If Trump wins tonight, we press the reset button. I think we have a boom in America like in the 1980s. I think things will be fun again. I think people will be proud of America again. I think we will cast away the woke and the nonsense. I think the hysteria of the mainstream media will be so squashed that, yes, they will always exist, but it will not loom large like it does right now. Charlie Kirk made a similar point. He said, the momentum is palpable right now for Trump. The surge is happening. So I think there's something we all feel right now. And I know everybody, trust me, my phone, I'm getting the same exact text messages on my phone that you guys are all getting. Do you think it can happen? What can they do at the last second? I'm feeling too confident. Like, maybe we shouldn't feel confident. We're all having those same thoughts. And I don't have any other, as much as I'm in the machine, I see how the sausage is made. I go to these events. I talk to the people, like all of the stuff. I have no greater insight into truly what will happen tonight than you do. Other than, for as much as I'm in it, I feel and see something happening in this great country. And this is truly the last chance. But we'll leave that to Elon in just a moment. Check this out. This was posted on Twitter. I think Elon posted this. It's pretty great. And it's showing IQ, and it's obviously memeable stuff. But in essence, that, first it was like, oh, these low IQ people are for Trump. And then these middle brain IQ people are for Kamala. That's sort of, the kind of quote unquote good liberals. But the people who get on the other side, who really see through the nonsense, who really see the machine for what it is, who really want to understand what's going on there, they get in full Jedi mode. They get the robe and the whole thing, and then they end up in Trump country. Guys, let's talk about Lumen.me for a second, and then we will go further deep down on this journey. Let me tell you guys about Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that keeps you going. Because your metabolism is the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, and more. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/Rubin to get 15% off your Lumen, or just click the link below. That's lumen.me/Rubin for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. All right, so again, what I'm trying to do here is connect some of my own political journey, which I've been very open about for many, many years, and that's what's brought a lot of you here, to your journey, and now connect that to what's happening in the country. The country is on a journey together. So let's go back for a moment. I want to show you, we're going to dial it all the way back to 2017, and this is a portion of my Why I Left the Left video for PragerU.
Do you believe in free speech? Do you believe that people should be judged by their character, not their skin color? Do you believe in freedom of religion? If you believe these things, you're probably not a progressive. You might think you're a progressive. I used to think I was. My show, The Rubin Report, was originally part of the Progressive Young Turks network. Progressives struck me as liberals, but louder. Progressives were the nice guys. They looked out for the little guy. They cared about women and minorities. They embraced change. In short, who wouldn't want to be a progressive? But over the last couple of years, the meaning of the word progressive has changed. Progressives used to say, I may disagree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it. Not anymore. Banning speakers whose opinions you don't agree with from college campuses, that's not progressive. Prohibiting any words not approved of as politically correct, that's not progressive. Putting trigger warnings on books, movies, music, anything that might offend people, that's not progressive either. All of this has led me to believe that much of the left is no longer progressive, but regressive. I'm a classical liberal, a free thinker, and as much as I don't like to admit it, defending my liberal values has suddenly become a conservative position.
All right, most importantly, your takeaway should be the bearded Dave is definitely never leaving. I'm more beard than man now. That aside for a moment, the reason that I'm showing you a portion of that video is that I suppose I woke up a little bit early. And by the way, I'm not the first person to do it, and plenty of people, including Ronald Reagan. I didn't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left me, including David Horowitz. Many, many people did this before me, right? I guess I did it in a sort of public sense on the internet, and that was something special and something that now is being replicated and I would say cloned and multiplied in crazy ways. And the direct result of that is this very, very important election that we are having today. So now let's flash forward from February of 2017 to just about 8 months ago. This is March of 24. This is right after Super Tuesday. Now, of course, as you guys know, I supported Ron DeSantis in the primary. I saw what the guy did to Florida, changed my life literally by moving my family and my businesses here and everyone in this room and all of those things. I thought maybe we could turn the page from some of these things. Anyway, it did not work out that way. I'm obviously very proud to support Donald Trump. And after Super Tuesday, when he just mopped up the whole thing, I think he said something that really now is the important message for today. Take a look. You know, the line "success will bring unity," I think is the right message for Trump. That if you look at if you look at Trump's time before COVID, we had incredibly low unemployment. We had an economy that was chugging. We had peace deals being signed in the Middle East. There was really a world realignment. People are looking at an America again that they could look up to, and I do think that is what the world wants. Trump deserves absolutely all of the credit for that. And COVID happens, okay, it changes everything. But the idea success will bring unity, that is the message that he needs to be pushing. The real question is, what will be the momentum behind Trump? Because we know that there's a huge anti-Trump movement and we know that the base loves him, but for those middle of the road people or the people who might be on the way, who've had it with the left, can Trump capture them? Okay, so can Trump capture them? Well, subsequently, over the course of the 8 months since then, he captured them. He brought RFK on board. He brought Tulsi on board. He brought people, some of whom can't even vote, but brought them aboard. I'm talking about Russell Brand from the UK or Jordan Peterson from Canada, right? He started doing this thing that has led us again to today. Now we flash back, let's go back 5 years when Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. She was a sane Democrat when there were still some decent, sane Democrats left. And she was running for president. As a Democrat, she came to my house in Los Angeles, and we talked a bit about her ideas.
This sounds like a conservative message. I said, what are you talking about?
Right.
She said, well, you know, the conservative message of how do you pay for things? And I said, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I noticed after that first debate, when you were getting Googled and
Yeah.
everybody was going, well, who is this? Who
Yeah.
is this? That suddenly some of the mainstream outlets, so like BuzzFeed and HuffPo and the rest of them, they were trying to link you to the alt-right and the trolls, and she's secretly being supported by conservatives and all that. Now, me and the people that are doing the online thing, it's like we see this all the time. If
Yeah.
you step out of anything that sort of the modern left doesn't want you to do, you're automatically the bad guy.
Yeah.
But then when I saw it going after you, I was like, see, they just do this to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it started before that, to be honest. It started the very day that I announced my candidacy for president.
Yeah.
And it's
as if
continued
being anti-war,
throughout.
which is your number one piece, as if that is conservative. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they're trying to sell now,
Yeah.
which is
A
bizarre.
reporter asked me this question literally just yesterday after the New Hampshire Democratic Convention. She said, well, you know, she's talking about how I've made it a central focus of my campaign that we need to end these wasteful, counterproductive wars, work to end this new Cold War and arms race, and redirect our taxpayer dollars that we've wasted for so long to the tune of $6 trillion since 9/11 alone, redirect those resources back here to serve the needs of our people.
All right, so really think about what you just saw, guys. That was 5 years ago. She's running as a Democrat against Trump. She is now one of Trump's biggest supporters. Clearly, the Democrats have become the party of war, and the Republicans have become the party of peace through strength in Trump's view, which is the only way you attain peace. You don't just say, I want peace, thus you get peace. No, you say, I've got an army. I might do some stuff if you attack us. Then you get peace. I know that's a really hard thing for a lot of the lefties to kind of put together in their brains. But look at that evolution, right? That puts us all in this same bucket of deplorables that we are all in right now, which is the wide tent thing. So that was 2019. Now I want to jump 2 years in the future. This is 2021. J.D. Vance was a little known author, kind of tech guy. He from Ohio, was not particularly well known at all. And I think I was either the first kind of big time podcast to put him on, or certainly within the top 3. And this was me introducing J.D. Vance kind of to the people. I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is the author of Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis, founder of the venture capital firm Narya, and current Senate candidate from the great state of Ohio. J.D. Vance, welcome to the Rubin Report.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Good to see you. One issue, for example, where I depart pretty strongly from the traditional Republican line is I think a lot of folks in the Republican Party, they see what's going on with Google, Apple, Facebook, with big tech writ large, and they say, well, we don't like what they're doing. We don't like the fact that they censor conservatives, but they're private companies, and so we can't actually do anything with them. And my response to that is, well, first of all, they're not actually private companies. They benefit from a ton of special government privileges, but also they're just too powerful. Like, however they got there, they're way too powerful and they're way too big at this point. So I'm willing to go, with Ken Buck and with Josh Hawley and with others and say, look, we've got to actually rein in the power of these companies, because if they control what you're allowed to say in America, we don't have a First Amendment anymore. If we don't have a First Amendment, we don't have a real country.
And isn't it interesting where we are at right now? That guy sitting there in a t-shirt in his, humble office in Ohio. He became senator, then became the VP of choice under Trump. He has now become, I think, you guys know, I wanted Tulsi, and I think that would have been an amazing pick, obviously, for many reasons that I've repeated a million times, so we don't have to do it right now. But JD has been a spectacular choice. He absolutely demolished Tim Walz, who's deeply unimpressive in the VP debate. JD goes on all of the cable news shows and throws back the nonsense right in their faces. And what he was really good at in that interview, and subsequently has been really spectacular at in this last 6 months, has been that what the Republicans now have done is taken all of the good ideas from the left and the good ideas from the right and made it a party platform. Again, the wide tent thing. And then what else did they do? Well, let's flash. We were in 2019, then we were in 2021. Let's jump 2 more years. Let's go to March of 2023. I had RFK Jr. on for the first time. Now, at this point, he is still a Democrat, right? Now, the day he announced, as you guys know, I said on the show, I don't know if he'll be a Republican by the end of it, but I know he won't be a Democrat. At this point, he's still a Democrat. He's still in the primary running against Joe Biden. And I asked him, well, what makes you a Democrat? Let's dive into it. I thought before we get into some of the specifics, and all the media stuff that's been happening and everything else. I was once a Democrat. And when we talk about you on my show, people often ask, Dave, what makes RFK a Democrat at this point? This isn't 1960, 1970, 1980. So I guess that's my first question to you. What sort of lines you up with the modern Democrat Party at this point?
Well, I don't. My loyalty and affiliation and affinity for the Democratic Party is, for the party that I grew up with. And I think, what's happening in the party today is unfortunate. I do believe the party is redeemable ultimately.
Independents, what I would say are the remaining sort of old school liberals, and for even some conservatives who are open to a lot of these ideas. And a lot of the stuff you're talking about, it's sort of Trumpian in a certain sense. It's stuff that Tucker Carlson talks about. I want to get to the Ukraine war in a second. But what's the way to get you on that stage so that there can be a debate between you and Joe Biden? Because to me, the difference would be so stark that could start the avalanche. Like, that seems to be the chance. What can you do with the Democrat Party, in essence, is what I'm asking.
I think we need to go the Democratic Party into a debate. I mean, we're at a period in history where so many Americans no longer believe in the political process. They think it's rigged against them.
Subsequently, as you know, he started thinking, boy, the Democrat Party is rigged, and the Democrat Party and the DNC certainly is rigged. They made sure he couldn't get on certain ballots, that if he campaigned in certain states, that people wouldn't be able to vote for him, and a whole bunch of stuff. Ultimately leaves the Democrat Party. He has not said he's a Republican like Tulsi did about 2 weeks ago, but he fully is on board MAGA. He's fully on board MAHA. That's Make America Healthy Again. And he is campaigning with Trump, and Trump has promised him some job in the administration, whether it's working on the CDC, NIH, whether it's working on the health stuff. We shall see what that turns into. But again, I'm showing you the evolution of all of this. What got us to today, Election Day, where we feel like we have this broad coalition right now? Well, okay, we were in 2019, we were in 2021, we were in 2023. Now let's go to April of 2024, when I was really pushing on Tulsi to join the Trump train. If Trump wants to win this election, he needs to bring in what you represent. So if you get the call, you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready because I know what is at stake. And if that call came, I would say yes. And I'd be honored to serve my country in that way, and to be in a position first to help win this election, to stop the Democrat elite from destroying our country, and then actually begin the real work of getting our country back on track. And that starts with having people of courage in our government who care more about the country than they do about the political elite in Washington, and actually rooting out the deep rot that exists within our bureaucracies, the administrative state, the deep state in Washington.
All right, so look, the VP thing did not happen for her, but there's just no doubt that she will be in the administration. She's on the transition team right now. We'll be talking to her tonight at on election night at some point. She is over there at Mar-a-Lago. Hopefully it'll be a big party. We shall see. All right, so 2019, 2021, 2023, 2024. How about last weekend? Well, last weekend, I had fitness guru Jillian Michaels on. She has been a lefty her entire life, largely apolitical, actually. She was just kind of into fitness and food and all of that stuff. But during COVID, when fitness and food became political, she kind of became political, as no doubt many of you became, right? I get emails all the time from people now who are just like, I didn't care about any of this until they were locking me in my house and forcing me to inject my child with something. And then suddenly I was like, boy, I guess I am political. Well, Jillian Michaels, lefty entire life, Democrat voter her entire life, Donald Trump supporter. So you've woken up.
Oh, yeah.
You were, let's say, a moderate lefty your entire life, not particularly political. You've now seen the light, all of the stuff. The election is in a couple days from now.
Wow.
Will you be voting for Donald Trump?
Okay, so I'm not influencing anyone's vote, right? I'm not telling anyone who to vote for.
We're not even recording the show today. This is just me and you.
I did vote for Donald Trump, yeah. I did. And I put it this way. He was not my choice. He wasn't my choice out of the candidates that were running for the primary.
I do understand his flaws. Trust me, I could list all of them. But the problem for me is that it becomes a question of lesser evils. And I'm looking at the things you and I talked about, like the First Amendment. I'm looking at wars going on all over the world. I'm looking at big food, big pharma, and big insurance running rampant. Someone was telling me, like, I don't care about that. I just need to pay my rent, and I hate him because of this, and all this stuff you're thinking about is up here. And I'm like, well, it's not up here when you get diagnosed with breast cancer. It's not up here when a nuclear bomb goes off on the East Coast because there's nuclear submarines off the coast of Miami. It's not going to be up here.
All right, so something makes us all wake up, whether it's COVID, whether it's, I don't know, they try to chop your kid's genitals off, whatever it might be, something wakes you up. And the beauty of the truth is once you start seeing the truth, it kind of just moves. It kind of just moves and you start seeing it everywhere. We've all been through this moment, right? Once you peel back that curtain and you see that the all-powerful Oz is just the old wizard pulling a bunch of levers, right? And you shouldn't be so afraid, or that you've been lied to about a bunch of stuff, or maybe that you actually do have the courage or the heart or the brain to be in this fight, then amazing things start happening. And I think that's exactly where we are at right now. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I know something amazing has happened here. And regardless of the result, although I do think it will be a good result, regardless of the result, the thing that has started is now a force in history, and it does not end today. Again, dependent on whether Donald Trump becomes president or not. But what has caused all of this? Well, what has caused so many people to wake up and get here however you got here? We showed you this ad. It was a Trump ad. It was the closing Trump ad. We showed this on the show yesterday when I was on. I had Governor DeSantis and Dr. Phil and Glenn Beck. I'm always hesitant to show you guys campaign ads because it feels like a little thin. I'm not here to just promote the ads of campaigns, but I thought this one was so good and to the heart of exactly what I'm talking about that I think it's worth showing again.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again? The sweet emotion raining all over me.
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
All right, so as I mentioned yesterday, the one person you may not mention there who gets a couple shots there is Nicole Shanahan, who was RFK's running mate. Lifelong Dem, now a Trump supporter, right? And what brought all those people together? Was it racism? Was it hatred of women? Was it hatred of gays or of the other? Or was it, we like America, it's pretty good, we'd like to save it, we don't want the government to have control over our lives at every possible level. We think that the Democrats and the media establishment have been lying to us about everything, and thus Joe Rogan and Tulsi Gabbard are on the same side as RFK and Donald Trump and JD Vance. Like, isn't that actually kind of cool? And again, it's only because you can't stop the truth. We'll have more on what happens if Donald Trump wins tonight. But first, an ad from BHMD1. We've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now, one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin, he said. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. The video has gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. You can find out more about this for yourself. Go to bhmd1.com/Rubin or click the link in the description box below. Again, that's bhmd1.com/Rubin. Again, watch the video at bhmd1.com/Rubin right now or click the link in the description box below. All right, so as promised, we're going to get to some of the clips of Elon on Rogan in just a moment, but where are we at right now? Well, yesterday I tweeted this, and I just think this is right, guys. Tomorrow can be the rebirth of America and the death of mainstream media, right? What do I keep saying? This isn't the election about Republicans versus Democrats. You know it already. It's the election about truth. And they have lied about everything, and they have had so much control over the narrative, and they pulled off a coup of Joe Biden in front of our eyes, and we couldn't stop it. But maybe there's enough of us now, largely because of Elon and what has happened on X and free platforms like Rumble and Locals, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe there is a groundswell that brought enough of us together, and we can't take the BS anymore. And maybe tomorrow, today, it was tomorrow yesterday, maybe today we can actually rebirth this country, and at the same time, it will make all of the clowns that I talk about. I promise you I'll talk about them a lot less because we'll have incredible things to talk about. Holy cow, did you see we landed on Mars? That's pretty great. Holy cow, did you see that McDonald's and all the fast food companies are not using canola oil anymore for their fries? They're using beef tallow. Holy cow, kids are getting healthier. We're not chopping genitals off kids. Every day we'll start doing good stuff, and we can actually do it, and it can be amazing. I can't do Elon's yell. It's a bit autistic-y for me. Can't do it, but you get the point. We can get there, guys. RFK was on tour with Tucker. This is about a week ago, and he talked about the new position that he finds himself in, that this now has become a calling. This is bigger than politics.
Since 2005, I spend 30 minutes praying every day when I get out of bed, and my prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
So maybe there's something bigger than politics happening right now. Like, if you believe, to whatever extent you consider yourself a believer, maybe something's happening right now. maybe the old stories of the past and the, you know, David beat Goliath kind of stuff, maybe it's actually eternally true. And maybe the people they tell you are the bad guys are actually the good guys, and the people they tell you the good guys are actually the bad guys, and all of the stuff. And we have been so deep in the lies for so long that only now, only at the last moment, and maybe that's the only way it could happen, enough of us are going to wake up right now. And I can tell you this, having gotten to know Bobby just a bit from doing shows together, and we did some live events together, and after he was on this show right here in the studio, I had lunch with him and a bunch of his staff, and he's surrounded by doctors and thoughtful, interesting people that are all on the mission with him. And I believe him when he says that. You know, he's a recovering addict also. So I believe him when he says he wakes up and he prays. And that now somehow it's a crazy story, right? We'll look back in 30 years and look back that God, in essence, used Donald Trump as the tool that was going to defeat the system. And now he is a part of it. And all the other people who I've mentioned are a part of it. So, okay, now let's get to Elon, because he has put his life on the line. I actually believe that. If you think Donald Trump has put his life on the line, Elon has too. Elon has more money than virtually anyone, can do literally anything, can go literally anywhere, can never be seen from again, could, if he wanted to literally get on a rocket ship and spend the rest of his life on a rocket ship, he could do that. Like there's nothing we can really think of that the guy can't do. But instead, he bought X to fight for free speech, to go spend the last month right now out there campaigning, meeting people, going to rallies, doing all of the stuff, and there's a reason he's doing it.
To sort of reiterate some of the key principles of what, you know, a Trump, I mean, obviously I think you guys know, but for people out there who may be listening, and especially for independent sort of swing voters who are maybe deciding which way to go, you know, I think with a Trump presidency, we're going to get secure borders, we're going to get safe cities, we're going to get sensible spending, we're going to get deregulation, so we have sensible regulation, and we can unlock the power of the giant that is America. And we're going to uphold the Constitution. We're going to strengthen freedom of speech, right to bear arms, and the freedoms that people treasure, and reduce the burden that the federal government places upon the states and the people within the states.
You know the thing I always tell you about how when someone's telling the truth, you can just tell, because there's something about the way they speak and the tone and the intonation and the understanding of what they're saying that you know it's authentic, you know it's real. When someone's lying to you, although they're very, 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 very good at lying, usually when someone's lying to you, there's something innate in you that kind of sets the alarm off. And you may not always see it immediately, but when Elon says all of those things, I know he's not the one running for president right now, but just a few of the things that he said, that we'll have safe cities and secure borders and responsible spending and free speech and right to bear arms in the Constitution. It's like, why can't Kamala get up there and say those things? Isn't that interesting? Like, she has some version of it. It's not a true version of it. It's usually just Donald Trump is evil and I'm going to stop you from Hitler or fascism or something like that, but they're not really into those things. And don't take my word for it, take Tim Walz's word for it, right? What did Tim Walz say? Hate speech is not free speech. That's actually the complete reverse of the truth, according to the Supreme Court. You're allowed to say a lot of mean things. We have very limited lines that you can't cross, but beyond that, you could say mean things to people. So what do you want? Do you want a world that in essence could start tomorrow? Obviously the administration wouldn't kick in, the Trump administration wouldn't kick into January, but do you want a culture to shift tonight that starting tomorrow, we could again care about secure border and safe cities and the Constitution and all of those things? Or do you want what we've had? Because what we've had has led to violence. What we've had has led to chaos. What we've had has led to unlivable cities at any moment where extremists and people who absolutely hate America and all of our freedoms can take over and do things like this. All right, now look, I could have shown you any video of mass destruction of any of our cities and crazy people burning the American flag and calling for, first take out the little Satan and then the big Satan and everything else. But the point is that thing right there, whether it's a bunch of confused kids wearing masks and, LARPing as jihadists, it has infected all of our institutions. It is defended by Democrat-run cities. There are quite literally Democrat Congress people like AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib who think America is fundamentally evil and want to turn the country into whatever it is that those lunatics want to turn into. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have a video of 1930s New York. I love these. So that's the past. Were those people all white supremacists? Were they all racists and evil and backwards morons the way progressives want you to think? I actually think those people are a hell of a lot better than what the progressives are turning out these days. So if we look to the past and we remember what we got right, well, then we might actually be able to traverse a road to the future. And you know what the future could look like?
We're now down to 3 Raptor engines. We can see those chopsticks now in the air.
Booster, any current shutdown?
Megyn had popped the booster.
The vast majority of the time, cars are just doing nothing. So what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. Something we're also doing is inductive charging. The robotaxi just goes over the inductive charger and charges. The Optimus robots will walk among you. And what can it do? It can do anything you want. Oh, and what happens if you need a vehicle bigger than a Model Y? I think it's going to be a glorious future.
I think it's going to be a glorious future. One of the other things that Elon always says is the future is supposed to look like the future, and that's why he's designing things that look like the future. And then we could take our parking lots and turn them into parks, and we could actually get off the fossil fuels that the left hates so much and figure out ways to do things in a new way. And all of these things are possible, but they won't be possible if you have an overreaching government that is trying to control everyone who wants to contribute to society, everyone who thinks differently and who questions what's going on and goes, oh, but I'm not so thrilled with what the CDC said about that, or I'm not so interested in fighting that war that I can't fully be explained why we're fighting it in the first place. So we can get to all of those things, and today, quite literally, is our chance to choose it. Let's talk about Rumble Premium for a second, and then we'll get to Elon and Rogan. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions around COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Of course, Rumble did not. They held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They're attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked by brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech while Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers alone. They don't get much of it. So watching our show is the number one way we can ask for support from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with promo code Rubin when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium/Rubin and use code Rubin. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch us right here on Rumble. Okay, so now I want to get to some of that interview with Elon and Rogan yesterday, because it was the final, I hate to say nail in the coffin, but it was the final moment that actually got Rogan to make the endorsement of Trump. There is something particularly interesting about it because it obviously was put on X. This is the platform that Elon bought that we now know the government was working with to silence people, including me, during COVID, and probably including you. And when I went and met Elon there for the first time, this is 2 years ago now, when I met Elon there for the first time, and they showed me under the hood what was going on at Twitter, the entire system was basically built to silence people. We were told, Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter, testified under oath that they don't shadow ban, and then they showed me all of the levers and buttons that they had to make sure you couldn't see this and you would see this, or they could inflate that or depress this, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, Elon was talking about what could happen what could happen to X specifically, if Kamala becomes president. And then from there, we're going to go immediately into Rachel Maddow, who basically is admitting that that is kind of what they want. Take a look.
We still have, like, some of the boycott is starting to lift. And I think if Trump wins, we'll see, probably most of the boycott lift. But if Kamala wins, we'll see that boycott get stronger. And they'll friggin' shut down. There's no way that the sort of Kamala puppet regime would allow X to exist.
You really think that they'll be able to shut it down, though? Is there a pathway to that?
Yes.
What would they do?
Well, I mean, they can stick the DOJ on and say, like, they've had this whole thing about, like, hate speech, misinformation, whatever, except that they're the ones pushing the misinformation. But that doesn't stop them from filing massive, lawsuits and using the DOJ. I mean,
even if Trump doesn't win, the Defense Department and NASA are going to need a new arrangement for all their rockets and for all the multi-billion-dollar contracts Elon Musk's companies have with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is going to have to either, unwind from all of those contracts, or Elon Musk's companies are going to have to unwind from him. This is an untenable reality in national security terms, now that we know what we know about Elon Musk.
Let me be very clear, you dorky lesbo. You are the fascist. You people who have claimed we are the fascists, you are the ones who want the corporations to work with the government to silence dissent. You guys are the ones who want to destroy Elon Musk, a man sending us, whose goal is for interplanetary travel. You guys want to destroy him while you're also telling us that the Earth is going to be destroyed by climate change within our lifetimes. That's how you know it's all bullshit. You're all liars and performative, nonsensical, ridiculous people who we shouldn't be paying attention to. And if Donald Trump wins today, we're going to be paying far less attention to you. I promise you that. But Elon's point is correct. What could they do to him? The man put his life on the line now. Put his career, life, the entire freaking thing. He put it on the line, and it's like they could keep him just tied up in legal things. Could the DOJ do that? Was there another guy that they used to do that too? Kind of the guy running for president right now, Donald Trump. God only knows what they could do. Could they go after his servers? Could they blow up his server farms? Like, who the hell knows what they could do? But they could go after X, and then what she's calling for is the government to go after SpaceX and Starlink, which the guy literally sent for free to help the people in North Carolina after the hurricane because FEMA wasn't doing a good enough job. But that is where we are at. They are the fascists, and they're calling us the fascists. Elon continued about the tenuous position we're in as it pertains to remaining a democratic nation.
Obviously, I view this election as a turning point, like a fork in the road of destiny that is incredibly important. I've not been politically active until this election, and the reason I've been politically active this election is because I think if we don't elect Trump, I think we will lose. We will lose democracy in this country. We will lose the two-party system, and let me explain why. So, there's only like six or seven swing states. The margin of victory in those states is small, often like 10 or 20,000 votes. What the Democrat administration has been doing is importing vast numbers of illegals into swing states. You can look at the numbers on the actual government website, meaning you don't take my word for it. You'll just look at the numbers as reported by the government, which is controlled by the Democrats. And what we're seeing is triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in every swing state. In some cases, 700% increases. These are gigantic numbers. So if you have a state that has a 10 or 20,000 vote margin, and you put 200,000 illegals into that state, you 10x you swamp it's not a swing state anymore. It's going to vote blue. And then once the swing states vote blue, there is no election anymore. There's only a Democrat primary.
Which is so crazy. And it's so crazy that people are fine with that.
Well, I guess people on the left will be fine with that.
Yeah, we're not fine with it. You're not fine with it. I'm not fine with it. And that's what we have to stop right now. We have to stop America from becoming California. California, which is purging people. Like, if California worked, we'd be in a very different situation. If California, which is a one-party state, was working, if people were moving to California and be like, I'm taking the family to California and we're going to build businesses and own homes and do great things in those clean cities, well, then this would be something, then I guess Elon could shut up for a little bit. But that's not how it's working. And how do you know it's not working? Well, I took 2 businesses out of California. Elon's taken several businesses out of California. Joe Rogan took several businesses and his podcast and everything else out of California. About 1 million plus people, I think 1.2 million people post-COVID have left California. Nobody's going the other way. You know, there's the meme about the U-Haul guy, and it was an actual true meme. And when we moved, our truck drivers told us this, the trucking company, they were like, we actually have to charge you double now to leave California, because in the old days, there was a parity. People moved east and they moved west, and the trucks could go one way, fill up, and move the other way. But now, at least as it pertained to the COVID time, all the trucks were going east because they were all going to Tennessee, Texas, or Florida, and none of them were going back, so they had to charge more. That is what Gavin Newsom has done, and that's what the Democrats are about to do on steroids if Kamala Harris wins. That's where we're at. And he's right. We all know he's right, because the intersectional alliance that they've put together, this can't hold. They don't need black people much longer. They don't need the gays much longer. They don't need anyone much longer, because they're importing new voters, which is exactly why they don't want you to have an ID when you vote. How about some video of this weekend in New York City? Here, welcome some of the new voters to America. Who are these people? What are they doing? What are their intentions? Where are they going? Where's that bus headed? We have no idea. Are they going to vote? Will they just send them to places where you don't need an ID and they'll pretend to be somebody else and not ask a question? Will they just get on a plane and go wherever the hell they want to go? That is what we are up against. And thank God we had X in this last year, the new open free X that they hate him so much for, so that shows like this could show you exactly what was going on here. And that, the truth actually, then leads to the lying class realizing that they're in a little bit of trouble right now. So one of those guys is former Obama staffer David Axelrod. And you know how it works when you're in a Democrat administration and you work for a Democrat president. What's your job right after that? Pundit on cable news.
Most worried about right now?
Well, look, the watchword of the day is humility here. When you have polls that are this close, and I'm sitting next to one of the great pollsters, and I think she would tell you, when you have polls this close, you're not sure of anything. And it really matters who shows up, because these polls are not precise. So what I'm worried about is you're counting on some women who are independent Republican women to come out and vote for Harris. Is that going to materialize? Is the gender gap going to be what you need it to be? Are minority voters going to come out in the numbers, of African American voters in particular, and are you going to get the margins that you want there? So there are a lot of open questions, and they're obviously working it hard right now. There are feet on the street, and they're doing the kind of work that you do in a race like this. But this race is filled with uncertainty today.
What is...
Look, that is an Obama guy, worked in the Obama White House. He should not be at that desk. He should not be paid by a news outlet to analyze things. That is pure propaganda. However, as I always tell you, occasionally on CNN, they have to show you something true. And he's basically saying the truth, which is that this shit is close. Despite everything we've thrown at this guy, this shit is close. And what he's not really saying to you, it's because she's a horrible candidate and the messaging is terrible. He is also being like, well, you know, we're already ready to blame the people we want to blame. And who are the people we're going to want to blame? Well, it's going to be those Republican Republican-leaning women who sold out women, or those black dudes who sold out blacks, which again just gets to the heart of how evil their intersectional worldview is. We got a spliced video here. First off, here's Kamala. We showed you Donald Trump in Pennsylvania at his last rally, which again went till 2 a.m. and the live announcement of Rogan and the energy and everything else. Here's Kamala. I would say it's slightly a bit more confused, at least. And then a hilarious thing from the Nelk Boys. You'll see how these things are connected. Take a look.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's vote. Let's get out the 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 vote. Let's win. All right, let's get to work. 24 hours to go. And
Oh, what are the chances that she shows up at a random house and it turns out that the woman not only voted for her, but she's also working the polls? That's oh my God, that is just such kismet. It's just so incredible. But look, that's what's going on with her at the end. It's bad chanting. People don't know what to say to her. She's so unlikable and pre-scripted and everything. Hi, I'm Kamala Harris. The dog barking in the back, like how great would that have been? Like right out of Naked Gun, she opens the door and the dog just mauls her. Now we'll get to the Nelk Boys thing. So this is great. So the Nelk Boys, we've shown you some videos of these guys. They started going around to Kamala Harris supporters and asking them to sign basically things that say they support illegals coming to their cities, right? These are sanctuary cities. These are great liberal people who love everybody, and everybody's got a home and nobody's illegal or anything until the brown people show up, and then we got some problems.
So you would do anything for like all the illegals and stuff?
I think we have to be fair.
Guys, this is great. I think we found a new home for you guys.
What guys?
There you go.
Is that your bus?
Yeah.
I don't understand what this is all about.
This is all the immigration. They're gonna move into your house.
They are not.
What do you mean? You just said you wanted to support everyone though.
Okay, that I don't.
No, they're
guys,
not violent. They're not violent. They're good. They're
no, hop it. Like just like you guys did before.
Thank you very much.
Can they stay for dinner? Wait. Well, we have your signature. You guys got to drive back down south.
Back to Home Depot.
And isn't it that right there, guys? These people have, as Gad Sad calls it, suicidal empathy. Oh, I'm for everybody. Nobody's illegal. Everybody come into this country. Rape my daughter. No problem. But just don't do it in my house. I mean, come on. What am I? I don't want to feed you freaking people unless you want to live as my slaves. But that's kind of where we're at with everything. And now I want to get back to Trump because, okay, so Kamala's ending this thing. It is what it is. Okay, fine. Right, the AI candidate, emphasis on A. But what's happening with Donald Trump? Well, in some ways, if you view this stuff, I'm always talking about kayfabe and the WWF and wrestling and how we're all having these reactions to things that we kind of know are scripted and not quite real. Well, Donald Trump's hero arc within that is sort of interesting. And something happened last night that's a perfect stamp to it. Because if you remember all the way back in 2015, God, 9 years ago, it feels like a lifetime ago when he first came onto the stage. You remember that first debate that Megyn Kelly was hosting and he went after Megyn Kelly and bleeding out of her whatever and all of that stuff and clearly she was not a supporter. Well, Megyn Kelly is very much in the bucket that you and me and a whole bunch of the people I've talked about are now in. Megyn Kelly joined Donald Trump on stage last night to help seal the deal. Go.
Hi, everybody. Hey, it's great to see you. Can you believe this guy? Can you believe the energy and the stamina on this guy at his age? I'm ready to go to sleep over there. He's got another rally to go to till tonight. I won't take up much of your time, but I do want to tell you the main reasons I am voting for Donald Trump. Number one, immigration. He mentioned it. And people like Lake and Rowley. I'll be thinking about her tomorrow all day. 22 years old, killed in Georgia, a young nursing student by an illegal. President Trump closed the border. Kamala Harris opened it by choice. It wasn't accidental. She said it would be humane. That's what she and her boss believed. Tell it to Lake and Riley's family. There was nothing humane about it. He closed it. They opened it. It was an intentional choice, and there's no reason not to believe they won't do it again. The boys should not be in the girls' sports. He will look out for our boys, too. Our forgotten boys and our forgotten men. Guys like you. Guys like these guys who've got the calluses on their hands, who work for a living with the beards and the tats, who maybe have a beer after work and don't want to be judged by people like Oprah and Beyonce, who will never have to face the consequences of her disastrous economic policies. I'm not into their version of toxic masculinity or new masculinity. I prefer the old version. Them, all of you, and I prefer a president who understands how to be strong and how to fight. I hope all of you do what I did last week. Vote Trump and get 10 friends to vote Trump too.
So what brought her there, guys? A woman who literally, he was talking about her bleeding out of her whatever way back when, and there she is, as big a Trump supporter as you can find. So now put all of these people together. Who do you want? You want the team with Elon and Megyn and or you want the team with P. Diddy and an artificial intelligence candidate? I think I know what you want. All right, we're almost there, guys, because what does this all boil down to? It all boils down to free speech more than anything else. If we lose this election and they go after Elon, and then, I mean, literally, if Trump loses tonight, Trump's gone tomorrow, right? The narrative flips. Trump should have never been nominee and blah, 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 and then God knows what they do. But it is game over. That is where we are at right now. Elon Musk with Joe Rogan.
But if it wasn't for you buying that and changing Twitter, I don't think we would be where we're at right now. I think it was a pivotal moment. I think historically, when people look back on it, it's going to be a pivotal moment in this very bizarre fight for the freedom of information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time I said, I think, like, look, I think this is existential to the United States. It's existential to democracy, because if you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion. So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over. That's why I bought Twitter.
Yeah, that's why. And that's why this is my fight. That's why this is your fight. That's why this is Trump's fight. That's why this is Elon's fight. That's why this is the fight of our time. And if we can win this tonight, we can reverse all of the evil, the intersectional lunacy and the woke garbage and the America-hating craziness and all of the horrific stuff that has been poured on us endlessly for a decade now, if not longer, but hyper-focused, let's say, in this last decade with social media and everything else. We can get over it and start restoring it today. Today is literally the day, not tomorrow, it's today. Today is the day. I thought an interesting way to end the show today, we're going to end with Donald Trump, but I want to read a quote from Carl Jung that I read to you guys a couple weeks ago, because I think this shows your purpose within all of this, your connectivity to all of this. It's not just a bunch of people talking online, and it's not just a billionaire and another billionaire and a bunch of cast of characters that look like they walked out of a clown car. It's you. So Carl Jung, ladies and gentlemen, people do not realize just how much they are putting at risk when they don't accept what life presents them with, the questions and tasks that life sets them. When they resolve to spare themselves the pain and suffering they owe to their nature. In so doing, they refuse to pay life's dues, and for this very reason, life then often leads them astray. If we don't accept our own destiny, a different kind of suffering takes place, a neurosis develops. And I believe that life, which we have to live, is not as bad as a neurosis. If I have to suffer, then let it be from my reality. A neurosis is a much greater curse. In general, a neurosis is a replacement for an evasion, an unconscious desire to cheat life, to avoid something. One cannot do more than live what one really is. So are you doing that? I think I'm doing it, for the most part, as much as I can. But in essence, what he's saying there is, don't be afraid of your thoughts. If you surround yourself with people who make you afraid of your thoughts, then you're probably not around the right people. And it is better to live the life that you think is right and that is yours than the life that is handed to you and demanded that you live on your knees for. Because then you will become neurotic and crazy and ineffectual and unimpressive. And we have for way too long been completely subjected to unimpressive people. And we let it happen. And it's on all of us to years from now look back and figure out why we did it. But we do not have to do it anymore, and it can start today. Donald Trump.
The things that we've done have been just incredible, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just a goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form.
I got a form for you, Don. How about President of the United States? That would be nice. All right, guys, we have an incredibly busy day. Obviously, I know you have a busy day. We will be live tonight. I am telling you, as I said up top, we are going to do the craziest, zaniest election night stream you have ever seen. We got big screens and little people. We got guests like Jordan Peterson, Ben Harris, Dennis Prager, Russell Brand, Sage Steele, Adam Carolla, Brett Weinstein, Tim Bellew, Dr. Drew, Tulsi Gabbard, James Lindsay, Dr. Phil, Glenn Beck, Gad Sad, Megyn Kelly, and many more. We have so much fun stuff. It'll involve steak and basketball and tequila and a whole bunch more. Did I say Ben Harris? Yeah. I combined Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris into one man. I am fairly, or Kamala Harris.
Freudian slip.
We have Ben Harris on the show, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it's going to be a huge day for everybody. I'm going to vote right now. Maybe we'll post, I don't know what pictures I'm allowed to post of, but well, it's here in Florida. We're the free state. I can do whatever the hell I want. We're going to leave you right now with, I think we're going to show the full version of it. We're going to leave you with the 4-minute version of what we opened the show with. It's great 80s, sort of synthwave Donald Trump vibe thing. Post-game show right after that, RubinReport.locals.com, and then more at 6 o'clock. Thanks, guys.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump. We're all cut from the same cloth, and that cloth is very, very large. It's not too big, is it?
Hey. Hey yourself. It's wrong, isn't it? It feels so right. And it's a deal? I put together some really impressive deals. I like that.
Go big or go home. Donald Trump.
You know, you're really beautiful. A woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh my God!
Hey, Donald. Oh, you look great. Thank you very much. I'm Donald owns this restaurant. Listen, are you bagging her? Huh? Are you? No, we just met. We'll call this. Oh. Look at this, right here on the street. It's Donald Trump. What are you, morons?
Everything's set for tonight, Mr. Trump. I wonder what Trump's game is this time. My new game is Trump the game. Trump the game.
This sounds like political presidential talk. You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
I like that. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning. I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off.
That's the guy on the far right. Pepe.
Pepe. I've been to Pepe. Okay, kids, make it fast. I've got to play the game.
We created a magazine. Mr. Trump,